Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're stepping back from, all the quick DMs and texts.
Mm,
We're slowing things down to explore what happens in a real conversation. Where words actually connect and fill the space in a meaningful way.
that's right. It's more than just improving small talk. Our source material really argues that conversation practice is, well, essential. Not just for language skills, but for life, really, for connection and finding clarity.
Yeah, getting that knowledge you just can't get from reading alone.
Exactly. Slowing down to actually gain some insight.
I like that. It makes conversation feel less like a task and more like a tool. So let's start there maybe. Conversation as a tool for self-discovery, for figuring things out.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
We often think talking is just about sending information out, right?
Mm-hmm.
From me to you.
Mm-hmm.
But the research is pretty clear. The act of actually saying things, articulating them, it fundamentally shapes our thoughts. We often don't really know what we think until we try to put it into words out loud.
That resonates. I mean, I can write something complex, feel like I get it. Right.
But then I try to tell someone about it, and suddenly I see all the holes. Why is speaking it out loud so different from, say, typing it?
Well, I think it's the immediacy, the pressure almost, and the interaction.
Ah,
When you type, you edit, you delete, you polish. Speaking forces you to organize those thoughts right now in reaction to the moment or the person. It's like a quick mental cleanup.
okay.
You have to sort through the ideas, find the words, structure it on the fly. And in that process, the thought really takes shape. It solidifies.
And that connects to something I found really interesting in the sources, this idea of conversation as a mirror.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. You're not just talking at someone.
Right.
You're seeing your own ideas reflected back through their reactions, their nods, their questions, maybe even just a confused look or their silence.
That feedback is immediate.
Instantaneous, yeah. It tells you what's landing, what's confusing, what connects. You can't really ignore it like you can ignore a blinking cursor on a screen. So practicing conversation isn't just about talking better. It's practicing reflection, understanding yourself and your own life better. It's sort of like active self-discovery hidden in dialogue.
Precisely.
Okay, but let's face it. There's a huge barrier for a lot of us, right? The actual fear of speaking.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all been there. Your brain has the words, the grammar feels right inside your head, but then you open your mouth and I know, nothing. Or just a jumble. It's like a glitch.
That freeze-up feeling is so common, and if you really dig into it, the sources suggest the fear is almost never just about the language itself.
Really? What is it then?
It's usually rooted much deeper in the fear of judgment.
Ah, okay.
The inner voice isn't really worried about verb tense. It's asking, what if they think I'm stupid? Or what if they laugh at me? We get stuck waiting for the perfect, flawless sentence.
We set this impossible standard for ourselves. Like, we have to be witty and eloquent all the time. And that pressure just makes us seize up or sound, robotic when we do talk.
And that's exactly what the sources push against. Here's the really key insight, I think. Conversation is fundamentally about connection, not perfection.
Connection, not perfection.
When you shift your focus to connecting with the other person, something changes. People are actually incredibly forgiving of small mistakes. A grammatical slip, a wrong word if they sense you're being genuine, if you're making an effort to connect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nobody walks away from a good chat thinking, wow, their syntax was impeccable.
Uh-huh.
They remember how you made them feel. Engaged, understood, maybe even just seen.
That difference connection over perfection feels really liberating. It leads towards this idea the sources call emotional fluency. Can you unpack that a bit? What does it actually mean?
Emotional fluency is essentially learning to be okay with imperfection, more than okay actually embracing it.
How so?
Because that imperfection, those little stumbles or pauses, they're the route to authenticity. It's the confidence to, trip over a word, maybe correct yourself mid-sentence without getting flustered or overly apologetic.
So it's about showing you're not performing.
Exactly. When you show that kind of low-stakes vulnerability, you're basically signaling, I trust you enough to be real here. I'm not putting on a show.
So a slightly imperfect sentence that feels honest builds more trust than a perfect one that sounds rehearsed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Research on vulnerability backs this up. When you stop trying so hard to sound perfect, you just sound human.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it, the most meaningful conversations. They're rarely flawless. They often have pauses, maybe some laughter at a mistake, a bit of back and forth figuring things out.
Yeah.
That honesty gives the other person permission to be real too. It creates a space for genuine connection. So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork, the why, let's get practical. How do we actually build these skills for real connection?
Right. The actionable steps.
And a key point here is moving beyond just screens. Digital communication misses so much tone, pauses, eye contact,
Well,
all those subtle cues.
yeah, the source material really pushes for real-world practice, and the advice is great. Start small, start now, don't wait for the right person or the perfect moment.
Right.
It suggests starting with anyone, a classmate, a friend, even yourself.
Talking to yourself might sound a bit odd, but active narration is actually really effective practice.
How does that work?
Just describe your day out loud as it happens, or narrate simple actions. Okay, pouring coffee now. Oh, realize I forgot milk. That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
It trains your brain to connect thought and voice instantly, without that internal editor jumping in. Low stakes, just getting the words out.
And we can still use tech, right?
Yeah.
Just maybe differently.
Definitely send short voice messages, maybe to a friend or a language partner.
Mm-hmm.
But the key, the source of stress, is not rehearsing.
Just speak naturally.
Yeah, capture your actual rhythm and tone. Don't try to make it a perfect little audio essay. It's practice for spontaneous speech.
Okay, so we've covered the speaking part, but what about the other half?
Crucial point, the often forgotten half, listening. There's a quote in the material that really hit home for me. Most people listen to reply, not to understand.
Oof. Yeah, that feels painfully true sometimes. We're just waiting for our turn to talk, lining up our next point.
Right. Real conversation needs what you might call generative listening.
Generative listening.
I mean, you're paying attention not just to the words, but everything else. The tone, the pauses, the energy behind the words. You're listening to learn, to actually understand their world, not just to find an opening for your response.
And when you listen like that, like you genuinely care about what they're saying.
Then you naturally gather the information, the feeling, the context you need to ask a better follow-up question.
Which brings us perfectly to the next point. The art of asking good questions. That's what really deepens a conversation, isn't it?
Totally. It's the difference between skimming the surface and actually diving in. We all fall back on the easy ones. How are you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, the conversation killers sometimes. They invite a one-word answer. Fine. Good. End of story.
Exactly. They kind of shut the door.
So how do we ask questions that open the door? That invite a story instead?
It's about shifting from closed questions to open-ended ones. Ones that ask what or how or why.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of say, did you have a good day at work?
Uh-huh.
Which is a yes-no.
Right.
Try something like, what was the most interesting challenge you tackled today? Or what part of your day felt most energizing?
Ah, I see. Moving from how are you maybe to what's been on your mind lately? Or even what made you smile today?
Precisely. The shift is subtle, but the impact is huge. Good questions come from genuine curiosity, not a desire to control the conversation or just get information.
Curiosity, not control. I like that.
When you're truly curious, people feel it. They sense you're not just quizzing them, you're actually interested in their experience, their
Yeah.
story. And suddenly the conversation isn't a performance anymore, it's a shared exploration.
Okay, let's touch on something really subtle but important the sources mention. Silence.
Yes, the awkward pause we all rush to fill.
Exactly. We're so conditioned, culturally maybe, to think silence is bad, that it means the conversation failed.
But being comfortable with silence can actually be a sign of real conversational maturity and trust.
How so?
When you allow a moment of silence, you're signaling that you trust the connection. You don't need to frantically fill every second. You're giving both the other person and yourself space to think, to process what was just said.
So understanding can actually grow in those quiet moments.
Often, yes.
Yes.
That's where deeper thoughts can surface.
Yeah.
But you raise a good point. How do we know if it's a good silence or just awkward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone goes quiet after I ask something, my first instinct is, oh no, I said the wrong thing.
It's very contextual, isn't it?
Mm.
And highly cultural. A generative silence often feels different. Maybe the person looks thoughtful, like they're retrieving an idea. It feels like processing time.
Okay.
But this ties into the cultural aspect the sources highlight. Silence means very different things in different places.
That's a really important layer. What works here might not work elsewhere.
Definitely. The source material gives great examples. Like in some cultures, interrupting is actually a sign of enthusiasm. It shows you're super engaged.
Wow, okay. Whereas in others,
In others, say many East Asian cultures, interrupting can be seen as quite rude. Silence might mean respect or careful thought. In some Western contexts, it could mean agreement or confusion or even disagreement people are hesitant to voice.
So there's no single rule. It's more like learning a dance.
That's the perfect analogy the sources use. Conversation is like a dance.
Okay.
You're learning to move with someone else's rhythm, which is shaped by their personality, their mood, their culture, everything. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, sometimes you step on each other's toes.
Huh. Yeah.
And that's okay. You adjust, maybe laugh it off, and keep going. It's that willingness to be a little awkward, to adjust together, that makes the connection feel real.
This has been fascinating, really digging into something we do constantly but maybe don't think about enough. Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the core takeaways for everyone listening, the practical stuff.
Okay. Tip 1. Aim for real, not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Lean into that emotional fluency. It builds trust faster.
2, listen more than you speak. Listen to understand, not just to plan your reply.
3. Ask better questions. Questions that invite stories, not just one-word answers. Get curious.
4, smile.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but the sources say it actually changes your facial muscles and warms up your voice tone, even on a call. Makes you sound more approachable.
And 5. Reflect afterwards. Just take a moment.
Hmm.
What did I learn about them? What did their reaction teach me about how I come across or how I organize my thoughts?
That reflection closes the loop, right? It turns every conversation into a chance to learn. Every person becomes a kind of teacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you start focusing on that honest connection, you really notice a shift. You realize how much energy can be wasted avoiding deeper stuff and how much genuine conversation can actually energize you.
So the final thought for you, our listeners, to take away today is this. Every truly meaningful relationship, every significant change in your life probably started with one good conversation.
So true.
So go talk to someone today. Maybe skip the small talk about the weather. Try sharing something a little more real. Ask how they really feel. And then just listen with curiosity.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the powerful art of conversation.
Stay grounded, stay curious, and keep talking. We'll see you next time.